Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Today we're going to be discussing the monthly candle close and the weekly candle close. We have the weekly candle close in 6 days, and we're doing something just like what we did in 2022 that might indicate a saving grace for Bitcoin. On the other hand, the monthly chart's looking very bad, right? We have the monthly candle close in 3 days, and we're very far away from where we need to be, which could indicate macro downside price action lasting months, which actually does support the theory that we've been kind of observing, not necessarily predicting, but observing over the last few weeks, months actually, that we could be following 2019, in which case, again, we could be seeing macro downside price action for many months until after the halving. So there's two conflicting arguments right now in Bitcoin. There's the argument that this is just a short-term correction and everything's going to be fine. And then there's the argument that we're seeing long-term bearishness, in which case we wouldn't be going upwards again for the entirety of 2023. So two very opposing, very polarizing point of views. Which one is more logical? Which one is more supported? We'll try to answer that to the best of our ability in this video, but a lot of it does actually rely on the monthly candle close and the weekly candle close coming up. So realistically, we've got very important closes in the next week, 6 days and 3 days for next week on Bitcoin. We do need to understand what's going to happen with them. And if you want to be informed of the market, you need to watch this video so you understand it fully. Guys, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, we're going to get into the charts in just a second. As explained in the intro, today we are looking at the monthly chart, the weekly chart, daily chart, Bitcoin dominance. We're looking at all of those charts and showing you why the next 3 days are incredibly important and why we're actually in a bit of danger here for Bitcoin. Before we do that, check out the VIP group on Telegram. You can check out the VIP information and results group, which I've got linked below. Join that. Check out all the information on VIP, the pricing, etc., the trading results. 79% win rate, by the way, absolutely exceptional. We're not going to get much better than that. And then, if you want to join the group, you'll get access to a community discussion group chat in which members discuss charts, discuss, the VIP trade signals, and also the VIP group itself. So go ahead and do all that. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. Basically, Bitcoin, and I want to start with the important stuff, right? Because Bitcoin daily and hourly, it's all kind of useless right now. It's all kind of, chopping around. In fact, we'll just briefly skim into it, right? What is the hourly chart doing? We'll just look at the hourly chart, right? It looks like no market pattern, nothing really identifiable there. Very, very low volatility. I mean, exceptionally boring price action. If we're looking since, last Thursday, so we're looking, basically the last 4 or 5 days, we've been in a range of around 2%, a 2% range for 4 or 5 days. And that's actually been the range we've been in basically since, the 18th of August with a few exceptions, a few hours of exception. So just nothing really happening. Yes, consolidation on support is generally bullish. Yes, it does lead to generally a move upwards. We saw a similar kind of structure in May 2021 through to July 2021. If you remember, we had the big bull market drop. I'll actually go to it now. We had the big kind of bull market drop downwards, and then we had this kind of sideways / downwards range. So yeah, technically speaking, it is more bullish than bearish, but we can't really say it's bullish just based on a random observation like that. The realistic argument to be made is that we don't really know what's going on here in short term. We've dropped below so many things. We've dropped below these uptrending lines. We've dropped below this descending wedge formation. We're really in a bit of a danger zone. And where do we rest right now? Well, we rest right now on Bitcoin at the bottom of a range, right? We haven't broken it yet. We haven't flipped to a bearish downtrend yet. We technically haven't put in new lower lows, right? We're still in a trend of higher lows and higher highs, technically speaking. I mean, if you discount that wick. So technically, Bitcoin is still in an uptrend, and technically it still hasn't lost its range. The critical level it needs to hold on the weekly chart is 24.5K. But, that's all macro and medium term. The fact of the matter is the short term is actually quite rough. And also, if we're looking at, this head and shoulders pattern on the 3-day chart, that also says we're quite rough on Bitcoin right now. We've got a massive, on the logarithmic chart, we have a massive head and shoulders pattern, head and shoulders pattern that stems back from the end of 2022, the start of this year. So throughout the entirety of this year, in fact, it formed on the first day of this year, the entirety of 2023, a 9-month long head and shoulders pattern. And you might think, oh, Wolf, that's not a head and shoulders pattern because the right shoulder goes higher than the head. That's not how head and shoulders pattern works. They work by measuring the distance from the head to the neckline, and the distance from the head to the neckline is larger, therefore it is valid. But yeah, that's a head and shoulders pattern, and if we're taking a measured move from this head and shoulders pattern, which is basically a vertical line from the head to the neckline, and applying it to the breakout zone, we can see we're targeting down here at this pink line. What is that pink line? The pink line is the uptrending support line we've been holding for 6 years on Bitcoin that marked the 2018 bottom, marked the COVID drop, marked the bottom here in 2022. And so realistically, what are the charts saying right now? Well, I'll tell you right now, this chart is saying that we go downwards to this pink line, which means we go downwards to somewhere like 21, 22K, maybe 23K by the time we get there. And, that should consume the most of 2023. And it's also not ridiculous to think something like this would happen because we are resembling 2019 quite heavily. Not only do we have a larger triangular structure, just like 2019, forming on this pink line with the dotted yellow lines there, we also have a similar move, right? A similar bear market. We had a rounding bottom in the bear market, as you can see, rounding bottom, and then we had 3 major moves. 1, 2, 3, okay? And we had 3 major moves again. 1, 2, 3. And then in 2019, we had a long period of downwards consolidation going for like 9 months, right? If we follow something like 2019, we could do the same thing down to that pink line and then start to go up after the halving only. So, it does stand to reason that we could see a scenario like we saw in 2019. It's not completely obscene to suggest something like that. In fact, that's probably a reasonable suggestion at this point in time. It's just hard to say, I predict that's going to happen because you can't really predict something based on one data point. It's just not really possible, right? At this point, it's an observation. And that's all we can really let it be. But overall, I mean, if we want to be more consistent and want more have more integrity with our analysis, the realistic thing, the most honest thing we can say is this. Until 24.5k is lost, nothing is confirmed in regards to a 2019 correlation. Right, because 24.5k is really the dividing level right now. If we drop below that, we enter the previous range. That's when we can start being bearish. That's when we form a new low. That's when the downtrend starts to actually occur. So right now, Bitcoin is on the edge of a cliff, really. It's in a situation where it's on thin ice, it's on the edge of a cliff. It needs to hold this green box. It needs to hold 24.5k on the weekly chart. If it doesn't, we get really, really ugly. And if it doesn't hold that level, that's when you start to de-risk on Bitcoin. That's when you start to look pretty pessimistic on crypto on a medium-term basis until after the halving, right? But until that level is lost, until 24.5k is lost, realistically, nothing is really confirmed. So right now, we're kind of thinking like, well, how do we know if it's going to be lost? What are the indicators we're looking at? And I can tell you right now, the weekly chart is one of them. Now, you've probably seen many videos on bull market support band, particularly from someone like Benjamin Cohen. I just want to, kind of tell you guys, I've been speaking about bull market support band since my first video on this YouTube channel in 2021. So it's not Benjamin Cohen's indicator, first and foremost. It's an indicator that a lot of people actually use. Benjamin Cohen just popularized it because he's a popular YouTuber. But people have been using this indicator for a long time, and it's because, it's been useful for a long time. The simple reality is this, when we get above the bull market support band, we continue in an uptrend. When we get below it, we continue in a downtrend. And we've seen that occur on multiple occasions. In fact, if we're looking at, 2016, 2017, 2018, what do? Well, we held the bull market support band the entire way upwards from the bottom. Literally did not drop below it until the bear market started. So that was a very, very easy cycle. Every single major correction bottom of the bull market support band. And, the same thing happened in the bear market, right? We held it the entire way down, entire way upwards, downwards. Of course, it's less it's less accurate than it was back in the day. That was just ridiculously easy to trade that bull market there. But it is still valid. We've got bull market support band holding for support for a long period of time, only losing it when the correction really started. Again, we got above it, we flipped it in September, bounced right off of it, and then lost it again. We do see fake outs below bull market support band and above bull market support band. They are rare, but we do see them. But overall, when we drop below them, it's not good. And we have dropped below it, right? We've seen a bearish red candle below the bull market support band. The only saving grace is this. As I said, we do see fake outs below them and below the bull market support band and above it. And we did see a very similar thing, okay, over here in 2022. What are we looking at here? Okay, we got below the bull market support band, we came above it, we saw a very strong green candle. We saw a doji candle and we saw a very strong red candle. What is that formation? That is called an evening star formation. When you see a strong green candle, a doji candle, and then a strong red candle, that is an evening star formation. The reverse of an evening star formation is a morning star formation, and we could be forming a morning star formation right now, which means we could be mirroring what we did in 2022, which means we could be getting back above the bull market support band as of this week. Okay, so this is kind of like a bit of hope for you guys there. We need to be seeing Bitcoin closing above the bull market support band on this weekly candle close. If we close below it again on this weekly candle close, that would put us in a very bad position, because we very, very, very rarely see fake outs that last more than 2 weekly candles. If we go more than 2 weekly candles below bull market support band, it leads to a downwards trend. So basically what I'm saying to you is this, in very direct terms. Based on history, if we close this candle, this weekly candle in 6 days below bull market support band, we are very likely to be entering a downwards trend on a medium-term scale. That lasts months, most likely. Now, if we get back above it on this weekly candle, just like what we did in 2022, then we are very likely to go upwards, because this will be labeled a fake out and the upwards trend would continue. So realistically, guys, this week is like absolutely fucking critical for Bitcoin from a bull market support band perspective. And bull market support band is not something you want to mess around with. It is incredibly important and incredibly accurate for Bitcoin. So we really have to close this weekly candle above 27.5k. There's just no way around it. Is it possible? Yes, we have 6 days. 6 days is a decent amount of time. We have extensive consolidation forming on the daily chart. We have, support on the Bitcoin dominance chart, of course, which we're potentially bouncing off of, and that will lead to a Bitcoin uptrend. We have, obviously, we're on major support at 24.5k. We could see a bounce. There's many things that could lead to this bounce, but there's also many things that could, not lead to this bounce, that could negate it. And one of those things is the monthly chart. And this is kind of the second section of the video I want to get into, how important the monthly close is, because the monthly candle's in 3 days, and the weekly close in 6 days. Again, very important we get above the bull market support band. What about the monthly? Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little news flash for you. You trust exchanges with your money. They get hacked all the time. They lose funds all the time. So the exchange you're using, you're actually trusting with your money. You're also paying them fees for trades. You're paying up to thousands, tens of thousands of dollars per year in fees. So you want to have a bloody good exchange, right? And that's why I have 2 exchanges for you guys, 2 options depending on your location, depending on what you want from exchange. The first one is Bitget. That is a KYC exchange. You can sign up from anywhere in the world, excluding the United States, excluding Canada, and excluding Singapore. Very low fees, protection fund, the whole 9 yards. We've also got BingX, that's our second exchange, and that is an exchange you can sign up non-KYC from anywhere in the world, including every country, right, with a VPN from anywhere in the world. Again, very low fees, protection fund, everything you need in an exchange. Both of these exchanges are top 10 exchanges in trading volume. Sign up using my referral link below to get a 15% trading fee discount on both of the exchanges. Again, they'll both be in the description. Referral link is there. Get on the good exchange and become a proper trader. Don't use these trashy exchanges that you're risking your money and paying over in fees. Guys, let's get back into the video. Okay, so 3 charts in the monthly we need to look at, all of which close in 3 days, of course, because they're all the monthly chart, of course, so of course they close in 3 days, but 3 distinctive analyses we need to do. Okay, so first and foremost, we have a cyclical trend on monthly. We have this red line, kind of one horizontal support line that holds during the bull market. We bounce off of it. When we lose it, we go downwards and we form this yellow line, which is the bottoming out horizontal line. So in each cycle, we have 2 major horizontal lines, which kind of give very good indication of what Bitcoin is going to do next. One of them holds for support. One of them holds for macro lows. And we've seen that occur on 3 occasions now, so it is a trend. We saw it occur here. The red line is at around, obviously this point around 29.3k, and we saw that bounce off of it in 2021. We've seen rejections off of it here in 2023, and we went downwards, got above it, we bounced off of it, we held it for support, and then we dropped below it. And right now we're on this candle in which if we close below this red line at 29.3k, we will be losing this red line. And we've never done that before, right? We've never actually gotten above the red line before. For example, when we get above it, we go upwards. When we get above it, we go upwards. We've never gotten above it and then closed back below it. So it's not a good sign, and considering the fact that it's a major resistance, okay, it's not a good sign either, because that's a rejection from major resistance. Not only is it a rejection from major resistance, it's actually worse than a rejection from major resistance, right? It's not only a rejection, it's we got above it, we failed to hold it, and we dropped below it. That indicates heavy downside price action to come. So in 3 days, we close the monthly candle. We're down here at 26k right now. We need to get above 29.3k. That's a pretty big gain to make in 3 days. So we're not looking particularly strong on Bitcoin from that regard. We really don't want to be closing under it. Unfortunately, we might. The best thing we can do is minimize the losses. Perhaps we get a 27k, 28k close. That would minimize the losses, and that would save us a little bit on the charts I'm going to show you now. On the monthly chart, you can see on the RSI, we have a yellow line. That is the 14 moving average. When the yellow line and the monthly chart RSI cross, we have bullish and bearish crosses. We saw a bullish cross in February. We went upwards because of it, but right now we're coming in for a bearish cross. And if we close this monthly candle very red, we will be seeing a bearish cross, and that will trigger, massive downside price action on a macro scale. So the best thing we can do on the monthly chart is, get not only, above 29.2K, that would be the ideal scenario, but even just above 28K, 29K, those would minimize the losses and potentially give us a bit more time to recover so we don't see a bearish monthly candle cross here on the RSI, which has historically led to downwards price action. The same story is the stochastic RSI, right? Stochastic RSI is coming in for a bearish cross. Now, stochastic RSI is not very reliable. It does flip back and forth. We saw it flip back and forth multiple times over the course of 3 years in 2015 to 2019. But overall, it is, not a good sign to see a bearish stochastic RSI cross. But obviously, if we minimize the losses this month, we get, above 28K, 27K, not even above 29K, just above something, better than where we are now, we could very much increase the chances of us seeing this cross be a fake out and going sideways dramatically like we saw in 2015, which would minimize the chances of long-term downwards price action. We also are holding the 50 EMA on the monthly, which is worth noting. The 50 EMA is a level that we held for resistance here, support here, resistance, got above it, support again. So it is very strong. And so, provided we're above that, it's not the end of the world. But obviously, the monthly chart closes in 3 days, and we are in a bit of a danger zone now. And so we want to be seeing the best possible close we can see. If not 29.3K, we want to be seeing at least something like 27, 28, just to minimize these negative returns and increase the chances of these bearish crosses on the RSI and also the stochastic RSI being fake outs in the future. So, the best thing we can do on Bitcoin right now is move upwards, obviously, but it really is important in the next 3 days. Overall, I don't have much hope. I really don't. And what I'm really looking at is the weekly candle, because the weekly candle is very important, and bull market support band is very important. And right now, as I said, we're copying 2022. And if we follow what we did in 2022, we should be getting above it. And we really need to be seeing a bullish weekly candle close in 6 days. If we fail to get a good monthly, which I think is quite likely we do fail to get a good monthly, at least we can have a chance of getting a good weekly, which would possibly conflict with the monthly and lead to something interesting in the following week. So overall, Bitcoin's in a pretty rough position right now. Technically, it's not got a downwards trend yet. Technically, it's still above support. Technically, in terms of what's actually happened, not of what we think is going to happen, we're not in a bad position yet, but it's not looking good. We're in danger for sure. Now, I still believe in 4-year cycle. I don't believe we'll drop below 15K. I believe the low is in. I believe the bottom is in. I believe the 4-year cycle is still active and present. That's not even my belief. It's just objectively true. But yeah, right now, it is obviously pretty clear that Bitcoin is getting into a dangerous situation. Nothing's confirmed yet, but we need to be seeing some good price action, particularly on this weekly candle close and potentially even on this monthly candle close as well if we can. As of right now, I think there is a growing possibility that we see something like we saw in 2019. Again, it's not confirmed yet, but it is a growing possibility, and it would make sense. We've seen it before, and we could see it again, and that would be, lengthy downside price action until after the halving, which is obviously not what we want to see, right? Because we want to see good price action for Bitcoin, etc. But overall, Bitcoin's a cyclical, asset. It moves cyclically, and so if we're going to see something like we saw in previous cycles, and it's going to lead to boring price action for 9 months or bad price action for 9 months, so be it. As long as the cycle remains. Who are we to complain? So we'll have to wait and see, guys, but I just wanted to inform you, in 3 days, the monthly candle will be closing. In 6 days, the weekly candle will be closing. Both of those things are important. The short term is not showing us anything really right now. Hopefully by tomorrow it is, so we can do some short-term analysis, because honestly, the short term's been pretty messy recently. But yeah, that's the video, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Check out the Crypto Academy, become a trader course if you want to learn how to analyze charts like myself, you want to learn how to trade coins like myself, you want to learn market psychology, you want to be able to find coins, we're looking at indicators, candlestick formations, market patterns, everything you need to know. Even the fundamental questions like what is Bitcoin, what is technical analysis, that's all answered in Unit 1, and then we go into the more basic, the more advanced stuff throughout the following 9 units. But yeah, we've got, slideshows, we've got worksheets, we've got videos, we've got trading diaries, everything you need in there. Check out the website, and the email address is on there as well for contact. And yeah, check out VIP, check out Bitget, check out, BingX. I've mentioned all that before. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.